Okay, we are starting the right side for the Chaotic Storm Omega difficulty 5 raids. Now, yesterday I ended up doing the left side. We were able to make it up through the third section, which is the Mystic. Later on in the night, I did attempt some of the skill nodes, and those are going to be a nightmare. We're definitely going to be playing to the sack portion of there, and that second node is just brutal. Dorky Dad did end up putting a video out talking about how you need to actually clear one of the bosses, so that way you can open up all of the lanes like you see here. If you take out one of these bosses, it just opens up all 3 sections. Whereas if you end up doing like a pile-in technique of 1 to 2 lanes, you're stuck in those lanes for the next section. I'm gonna put a link to his video in the description. It's very informative as far as how to plan to do these attacks. But what we're gonna do today is we're gonna end up doing the Mystic, the following section, and I'm gonna try to push through and use power cores in the skills section, so we can kind of experiment, see what we need to do in there. So let's go ahead and start with the first node, which is Mystic. Now, we did this one yesterday on the other side. It's very easy by using the Night Stalker's Mephisto. Now, somebody mentioned in my comments that we could end up dropping somebody else, adding Odin in. I'm just going to use this portion of it still, though. We are going to make Blade back into a Striker. We got Striker on Mephisto. I'm going to make him a Raider, so we play into the assist mechanic with Blade. So let's go ahead and knock the first node out. Alright, so here, Emma Frost ends up doing her opening ability. Now, the big thing that you're kind of looking at in here, I should have done the basic there. It's not the first attack, it's every time they use that ability. So every time Emma Frost ends up using that special, that's going to cause the sidekick effect that you see kind of on them. And that's one of the main issues that we're running across when we end up going into that skill section, because it's so hard to get over to those Jean Greys. So do be mindful of that. All right, let's go ahead and basic. I'm going to go into Hank Pym right here, get the assist. And let's go ahead and basic into Britain. All right, so next wave drops. Now we're going all in on the Black Knight over here. Mystic is so easy once you get your Night Stalkers up there, and they're such a good team that you want to invest in them anyways. All right, let's go ahead and ult with Oath. And every time we get the kills, we get the ability energy out, so we're going to be pretty set once we get to the next node. Those two end up blading out, so let's just go ahead and take care of the Ms. Marvel Hardlight. Alright, so there's the first Mystic node. Alright, we're going into the second Mystic node. This one here is just as easy as the last one. We're going to keep the same ISOs on them as well. There are certain occasions where you kind of want to use the ult, but with like those Black Knights, the Exhausty still end up doing the retaliate, so it's probably more efficient to do the basics on the Mephisto Empowered. So Emma ends up doing the special. And we have some taunts out here. Let's go ahead and we're going to do the basic into that Gladiator. I just want to get off of him as quickly as possible. Let's go ahead and ult into the Gwenum over here. Alright, so those two are dead. We got some rewinds going. Let's go ahead and ult. I'm going to target the Gore over here. Alright, so Carnage ended up bleeding out. Alright, let's go ahead and target the leader now. So I am bouncing around a little bit, just trying to get enough control. The main targets I want to get low enough. Alright, let's go ahead and ult with Man-Thing. Alright, their leader ends up going. We're going into Emma Frost. Let's special into her. And let's go ahead and base it. That's going to call the assistant, or she'll just die. All right, let's go into the Omega Red Phoenix Force. Once we kill him, there's going to be 4 enemies left on the field. All right, let's go into Omega Red right here. And let's go ahead and ult into the lizard. He has those 5 death per, so I kind of want to get through those as fast as possible. Alright, let's go ahead and special into the other lizard. And here comes an ult. This should clear quite a bit. So the lizard's going to bleed out. The Iron Man there's pretty low. No death burst on the other lizard. Alright, let's special with Blade. And we're going to basic with Mephisto. And now we're set. We're just going to do the auto basic, clear off these lizards, then go into that boss node. Alright, so into the boss node here. It's a bonus node. The Mystic ones, I definitely recommend knocking those out. They're very easy. Same with the tech ones. Mutant should be doable as well, I think. Alright, so Psylocke's doing her ability. We got the Kahori in here. She's probably the biggest threat in here. Let's go ahead and do the empowered basic into her. Alright, let's go ahead and ult here. Alright, so we got the Kahori out. She's like the biggest threat in these nodes. Let's go ahead and ult into the Zombie Scarlet Witch. There goes Leader. There goes Morgan. Let's special into Gore. And we'll go ahead and knock out the ult. We're going to get that ability energy back anyways. Alright, so let's go ahead and try and get into the Peter B. Parker. So we got the heal block on him. That's great. Alright, we're going to basic. That's going to call the assistant. It was 1 death proof. And there he goes. Alright, so now we just have 4 enemies to knock out. 2 of them are Medusas. Hey, thank you for the raid, Mobile Gamer. Appreciate it. Alright, let's go ahead and special into Morgan Le Fay. Alright, let's go ahead and get the stun on Morgan, get her killed off here. And now we're just going to bounce over to the Kraven, try to get him killed off. We are pretty much set where we just do the auto portion on this now, because we're not going to be using them later, unless you do want to use them on the main boss nodes. Alright, there's the Mystic section done. Alright, so this here is the skill section. Now, Jean Grey's going to end up doing her Psychic Backlash. This is brutal for the Spider Society team because they kind of thrive on these abilities. Whenever an ally assists, reduce the duration of all positive effects by 3. So we're going to go in, do a burn attack in here, try to pull as many abilities as we can. I do feel that we can use a Cap Sam Thanos Endgame. We're going to throw a Black Knight in here as well. Put him adjacent to Thanos Endgame. We'll throw in Moondragon and Peggy. When my Lilandra gets bigger, I'll probably use her as a first burn attack as well. Kestrel's not terrible. Let's go in, do this burn attack. I'm going to try and back out once we get to a certain amount of abilities being pulled on here as well. That way we can use some of these characters on the second and maybe the boss node. So this ability here is Jean Grey's special. So anytime she does this special, which you can kind of see the cooldown effect of it, is right here. So every 5 turns, she's going to end up doing that special. And that's going to reapply this Psychic Backlash effect, if you will. So there's the ultimate. So Thanos got killed off. Let's go ahead and we'll stop Actually, let's go ahead and pull Gladiator's ability as well. So I'm just going to do a basic here. And let's go ahead and basic with Black Knight. There goes Lizard using ability. Alright, we're pulling Craven's ability. I really want to pull that Gladiator. Let's go ahead and heal up with the special. Alright, so there's the ability. We got that ability pulled. We did lose 4 of our members, but we have Black Knight still alive. Now we're going to go in with the Spider Society team and get the cleanup on this one. Alright, we're going in for the cleanup on this one. We are using the full Spider Society team. That's kind of the team that we have right now until the Vigilante team comes out. In the blog, it looks like on Tuesday we're going to have Daredevil Modern. That's going to give us a 3-piece. I don't know how that's going to end up doing because Silver Sable seems very important for that team. We're going to find out when that team comes out, though. We just really need to get off that Gladiator. If we can get the rebound from Pav being perfect, where he just kind of stays on the Gladiator back and forth, that would be great. Let's find out if he does it this time. Nope, he's decided to move away. Alright, this one here, we'll do the ult instead of the special this time. And we'll just do the ult. I think the ult has more damage. Well, that worked better anyways, getting the trauma out there and everybody. Let's go ahead and we'll take the damage on everybody with the ult. Alright, so the wave's pretty much clear. So this is already looking better. However, we're still stuck on the Gladiator. Alright, let's go ahead and special. Alright, let's go ahead and see what the auto portion does. I'll still do the targeted on here. We're down 1.5 minutes and we're still on the Gladiator. There we go. Let's go ahead into the Green Goblin Classic for the main target. The Jean Grey is going to end up bleeding out, and those pinks can kind of ruin us. Alright, so there goes the Jean Grey. So yeah, once you get through the Gladiator, it's definitely a lot more doable. You still have to do that burn attack, of course. Alright, so Gladiator's gone. We're going to jump over to the Iron Man over here. And Penny gives the ability energy back when we go back into the next node. So let's go ahead and burn that one. Alright, we're going into the second skill node. And we're going to end up doing another burn attack. So let's go ahead and replace these characters. We're going to keep Black Knight in here. Let's throw in some other skill characters we don't plan to use. And Taskmaster is going to get the rework anyway, so I'll use Taskmaster. Let's go ahead. You don't need to do this. I'm just going to end up popping an extra heal on the Black Knight here, just to make sure he survives a little bit longer. And because I do want to try and attempt the boss node as well. Now this node here, it could take 2 or 3 attacks, depending if Jean ends up getting the ability back off again. So that's the unfortunate thing. Alright, so there's the special, there's the retaliate. And the gambit in this node is the biggest issue, along with the Sasquatch keeping that taunt on him. Alright, so we pulled the special from Nightcrawler. I think that's good. So let's go ahead and back out. Because they don't want to pull and start getting charges and everything on the Sunspot, otherwise that's going to cause some major issues. Alright, so let's go ahead and pop this heal for the raid energy. Get the Spider Society back in here. All right, so going back in with the full Spider Society team, we did the burn attack, and let's go ahead and see how this one plays out. This one was rough for me last night when I was kind of just experimenting with it. If anything, definitely try to kill the Jean Grey on this node. That way, when you end up going back in, if you have to do that third hit, you don't have to deal with the effect going back in on here. So this is where kind of the detriment happens with Spider-Man Noir, is he takes so many turns right here, and Gambit's just going to start pinging away the Spider-Man Pavitra for me. That's 2 turns for Spider-Man Noir. We're going to basic. That's 3 turns for Noir. There's 4 turns for Spider-Man Noir. All right, let's go ahead and ult, and hopefully we can get a kind of favorable rebound chain happening over here. All right, let's go ahead and ult with Peter B. Parker. And hopefully we can make it to Penny, so we need to end up using that ultimate. Here we go. There's the trauma going on everybody with the flips. We got the disrupt on Gambit. I definitely want to try to take him out. All right, let's go ahead and ult with the Ghost Spider. Spread all those negative effects. And let's go ahead and ult here. All right, so we got the ability to block into Ghost Spider. That's fine. All right, so let's go ahead and special. There's still the taunt. All right, so we're off Sasquatch. We got Forge killed off. Another Sasquatch comes down. That's great. All right, let's go ahead and special here. All right, let's go ahead and special with Peter B. Parker. We're already down 2 minutes, and we only killed 4 characters, so you kind of see the pain that this node is. All right, let's go ahead and basic here. The Gambit got killed off. That's great. I still want to try and get to where I can kill the Jean Grey. All right, let's go ahead and basic with Ghost Spider. All right, ult. And that evade definitely saved me from the Guardian right there. All right, basic. This Sasquatch is still hanging on there. All right, basic here. We're down to 2 minutes right now. All right, so there's the ult from Jean Grey. So she's getting very close to her special. All right, let's go ahead and basic here. All right, there goes the Sasquatch. Now we need to go all in on that Jean Grey. So we're going to target Jean Grey. We're going to end up doing a full auto into her. We have to kill her. Otherwise, if we end up timing out, we're going to deal with her battlefield effect, if you want to call it that, or whatever her sidekick ability is going to end up being. All right, have going in with the ultimate. Not a lot of rebounds into her. That's not good. And I don't think Penny's going to make it in time. Nor might end up making it to get the kill. Not with that dodge. All right, so there's the special. So we did end up pulling that ability again. We have 50 seconds. We're going to end up doing the lose battle on this one because we did pull that, so we don't have to walk right back into it. She's still going to get that first turn, but she's not going to use the special on there. And you can kind of see how this node is so difficult. Let's go ahead and heal up. All right, so here Jean Grey is opening with the ultimate ability as opposed to the special. So we don't have that battle sidekick ability that's on us. So we kind of made it to a decent stopping point. I don't like the damage that I ended up taking from it, though. All right, let's go ahead and basic again into Gene. I might want to try to take this Nightcrawler out, though. Let's go ahead and target Nightcrawler and ult right here. All right, there goes Gene. And yeah, let's go ahead and do full auto into the Nightcrawler. He should end up getting killed off here from this attack. And there's the ultimate. There he goes. Because of Penny, how she gives the ability energy back, we're going to be good on the next node. Oh, we still have a rogue to take out. Perfect. All right, let's go ahead and switch over to rogue. The Guardian's fairly messed up. Emma's ability blocked. There's 3 Guardians out there. That's hilarious. All right, so got the stun in there. Yeah, so this is going to be a much easier cleanup for this attack. So this one ended up taking 3 attacks, 2 attacks on the first nodes. That's 5 attacks total that I've done so far. I'm going to end up going into the boss node so we can at least kind of see what that looks like. Hopefully get through that one and kind of help my alliance out while showing you guys how to kind of manage through the skill section here. All right, so there goes the Guardian. He's about to fall over. All right, so we're going into the boss node for the skill section. So this one here is pretty brutal. There's the Gladiator, who's kind of set apart from everybody else. We have the Ghost Riders. There's a lot of big threats in here. I already got the ability energy in here. I'm kind of running low as far as characters to bring in. So what I'm going to end up doing, let's go ahead and see who we have to play with. We have a Black Knight we're going to throw in here. We have a Black Cat. We have an Echo. Noir, he usually comes back with the revive once, and then I'll throw Ghost Spider in. I'm just going to load in, take the hit, and I'm going to end up backing out immediately. All right, so as soon as she starts taking her move, we're going to end up hitting quit on here. She's going to finish taking that special. I'm going to take the damage, which Ghost Spider and Noir got wrecked on that. And here you can kind of see the setup. That Gladiator's all the way on the end. It's pretty far away from any significant people that we want to end up going into. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to spend more power cores. Let's get the Spider Society back in here. I'm going to heal up that Noir and Ghost Spider. All right, there we go. Let's go ahead and load in and see how we can tackle this skill boss. All right, so here Jean ends up doing the ultimate. We have those evades, so we don't really take the damage from that. She has slow on her. Let's go ahead and ult with the Spider-Man Noir. See if we can at least try to take this Carnage out, because we don't want to really give that Hive Mind team that speed up. All right, let's go ahead and ult here, see what kind of rebound chains we get. Going into the Gwenum, that's good. Going into the Carnage, that's a very favorable rebound chain, actually. I'll take that any day. Let's ult with Peter B. Parker. That's going to end up hitting the Carnage. There goes Carnage. Now here's the issue. Gladiator's on an island over here. We need to get off that. Let's go ahead and use the ultimate. That's going to get the trauma and a lot of bleeds out on the enemy. All right, let's go ahead and ult. I just want to try to get some damage over on the other cluster. Even though I'm not spreading anything, I'll still take the damage. All right, let's go ahead and basic. All right, Ghost Rider Robbie, throwing the ability block in Ghost Spider. That's probably the best character for me to get ability block because I use that ultimate already. And I'm hitting somebody with immunity. I need to try to kill that Ghost Rider Robbie before he pops the ultimate off on me as well. Let's go ahead and special this time. Got some damage into the Robbie. I'll take the ult here. And we're off the taunt. I should have targeted over into the cluster. Let's go into Robbie and special now. So I lost some tech in there. I want to kill the Robbie before he pops the ultimate off and strips everything off me. All right, let's go ahead and get a stun into the new Emma. There goes the Robbie. We have about 2 minutes, 40 seconds left. Most of the work is done. Let's go ahead and ability block. I should have ability blocked the Gladiator, honestly. I'm just trying to get this cluster down. All right, let's go ahead, target Jean and special. Make sure she gets killed off. All right, let's go ahead. Next area is down. We have a taunt into the Void Knight. That's who I would want to take out anyway, so he doesn't ult into me and flip and ability block my whole team. Right now, the big threat's going to be the Void Knight. Then I'm going to go into the Robbie. Maybe the Gladiator, depending. Because I don't want that Gladiator to get another taunt off. All right, so there's the taunt on Gladiator. All right, let's go ahead and hit auto. I don't know if I'm going to clear this on this hit due to the time constraints with a minute and a half left. That's a lot of time, or not a lot of time, to take out the Gladiator when he has a taunt. The revive, yeah. I'm just stuck on a taunt right now, though. All right, so there's the special from Robbie. All right, we're still stuck on a taunt. There's the striker shot. All right, we're off the taunt. We need to go into the Robbie or the Red Goblin and ult. I don't want him getting a revive on like the Carnage and the Gwenoms that we've killed in the past. There we go there. All right, back to the full auto. We have about 7 characters left to kill off. The Gladiator's still standing. All right, I'm gonna go into the Gladiator right here. We just have to get rid of that pre-taunt because we're gonna end up possibly timing out, it looks like. And we don't want that pre-taunt when we go back in here. All right. We have a Sentinel bot. We have a Gwenom. I'm going to try to go all in on the Black Cat. See if we can try to get her taken care of. There's the 1 life on her. Oh. Black Cat, there we go. All right, it's got about 9 seconds. We almost got the 1-shot. It's just those timeouts from the Gladiator definitely did us in on here. Very manageable cleanup. All right, we're going in for the cleanup on this node. Everything's pretty much set. There's like 2 characters left. We're just going to go in, take this out. And then we'll take a look at the next section. I should have already have a video on that from the yesterday, but I want to double check to see what's on those nodes. All right, so let's go in. We're going to target down the Sentinels over here. All right, so Sentinel's about to fall over. And there goes Photon. All right, perfect. So overall, that took 2 hits, 3 hits, 3 hits. So that was about 8 attacks, which is basically my full daily energy to get through the skills section. Definitely use your alliance mates as help on this. Our alliance, we're basically doing 2 lanes in the skills section. And we do have to kill at least 1 boss. So if we can have 2 people, that's 4 people going into the boss. And then that kind of opens up to where now everybody can kind of take any lane they want in the following section. The next section is the mutant section. I haven't done this before. I'll spend the power cores. Let's go ahead and knock out the mutant section so we can see how this ends up looking. So we're going to end up using the Extreme X-Men. We're adding an Old Man Logan on here. Let's go ahead and make him that striker. And we got a striker, raider, healer. All right, let's go in. All right, so Madeline Pryor does the huge burst. So the only thing that does is reduce the healing by 50%. So it's actually not that big of a deal. I was expecting something more, something that might like affect charges was my thinking. All right, let's go ahead and go into Black Knight here in special. Black Knight just got ripped. Oh my god. All right, let's go into Omega Sentinel in special. Striker shot to hopefully take her out because I don't like those pings. All right, let's go ahead and special into Madeline. And we'll go ahead and ult here. Yeah, this is not bad at all. All right, so we got 2 big times. Let's go ahead and ult. This is going to flip. Nice AoE damage as well. All right, ult here. I should have targeted one of the big times since they had the vulnerable on them, but I'm just like too eager to kill these guys. All right, let's go ahead and basic here. All right, so yeah, very, very easy on that first mutant node. That makes me happy, especially when we start getting Professor X. Seeing who would end up subbing out, that'd be kind of cool. All right, let's go ahead into the next mutant section. So we're burning some power cores today. We're going to use the same team. Somebody mentioned in chat, Stoke said that he uses Jean Grey over Gambit. That's pretty interesting because I would end up getting the team defense up and everything. I know not everybody has Jean Grey kind of built up because of them being a okay-ish war team with the Mighty Avengers and pretty good Crucible team with the Immortal X-Men. So I'm just going to keep this team because this is kind of what people already had built up from the previous raids, but that's definitely good to know. All right, let's go ahead and get a stun into, let's do the new Emma. All right, let's go ahead and get an ability block into Madeline over here. It does make me happy that Madeline is actually being good, but the PvE Madeline is always good, whereas the player Madeline was always kind of lacking. That'd be cool if she ends up being on the Hellfire Club. I'd really like that. All right, let's go ahead and ult. This is going to end up healing us up with Forge. All right, let's go ahead and special into Morgan Le Fay. We got the stun on her. All right, there goes Lizard. Let's go ahead and ult here. That's going to get rid of those death proofs on Black Cat. That's going to call the assistant. I was hoping that would kill Black Cat off. Very close to. Let's go ahead and ult with Old Man Logan. Get that strike shot into Wong because he's the taunter. I just want him killed off. We got the control in Morgan as well, which helps. Go ahead and special. All right, so you have some Medusas out here. We have a Lizard. Let's go ahead and special here. We're at the point where we have so many charges for Sunspot. When you go in the next node, we're going to have full ability energy, so we can just kind of burn through it and ult and do the full auto right now. All right, so we just had the boss node. Mutant's pretty easy. I like it. All right, so we're going into the boss node. This one here says we can use Mystic or Mutant. It's one of those type of deals. Very cool that they're allowing this to where you kind of use 2 different teams on these nodes. So if you're kind of lacking in one aspect of the bonus node, you can use one of the other teams that's recommended for you. And being able to use Mystic for that Night Stalkers is really cool. All right, so we have the Emma Frost doing that special. All right, so in here we have a Peggy, we have Falcon Joaquin. Let's go ahead and ult. We're going to take all of those positive effects off. And considering we just went first, Falcon puts that speed up on, and we just turned all those speed ups into slow. That is fantastic. I'm going to make some weird shit. All right, let's go ahead and ult here. Just get some pretty good damage out there. We're targeting that Falcon so we could, or the Patriot, so we can get the assist from Old Man Logan. All right, let's go ahead and ult. Just going to get the striker shot into Patriot. And we got those disrupts on Sasquatch, so we don't have to worry about those taunts coming back up. Peggy's about to take a turn. Let's go ahead and ult into her. Get the striker shot from Sunspot. All right, special here. That's going to get a stun on her. That way you don't have to worry about those pings start coming in from the Liberty team, start taking their turns. All right, let's go into Hank Pym. All right, so there goes Falcon Joaquin starting to take his turns. All right, so Peggy almost bled out. I was hoping for a bleed out on that one. All right, let's go ahead and special into Hank Pym. I don't want him kind of doing his abilities on us. And getting him killed off is a pretty big deal. We're going to get a striker shot into the Patriot. The Falcon Joaquin already took a turn. Patriot has not. So I'm going for the character with the higher turn meter to get some maximum damage on him. Let's go ahead and get a stun on him now. So we got 10 characters left, 3 minutes in. Pretty beefy first wave, but it's really not bad. A lot of control that we have going on right here. Let's go ahead and target Falcon Joaquin and special. We're going to throw this on full auto now. We have pretty good setup coming in. All right, so going into the Sunspot over here. That's fine. Let's turn the auto off. Let's go ahead and ult, get some flips going. Nightcrawler is pretty messed up. Let's see if we can take the Nightcrawler out. We're going to special with Forge into him. All right, basic into the Nightcrawler. There he goes. 6 characters left. Yes, back to full auto. This is the last wave, and I don't really feel threatened with any of these characters at all. Kang is about to bleed out. We got the ability block on Ares. Hank Pym, doesn't have anybody to really support him. So the mutant section is done. This was very doable. I like how we can actually use our Extreme X-Men. I like that team just because I'm a huge X-Men fan. Just kind of makes me wonder. Looks like Bio should be the next team that they would end up releasing based off of this, because we kind of have an answer for this, especially with Professor X coming. I don't really see them forcing another mutant raid team before a Bio raid team. So that's my estimation. Okay, so we got through the first 3 sections on the right side. So that would give you guys the Mystic nodes, the skill nodes, and the mutant nodes that we just went through. Yesterday's video, we end up going through the left side, which is the tech section, the bio section, and the mystic section. So if you need either nodes on those for assistance, make sure to check those videos out. Like I mentioned, the Vigilante team's going to be coming out. They already kind of announced when Daredevil Modern's coming out. Then we're going to have 2 more characters after that. So probably in a month, we're going to have the full skill raid answers. Then we only have to really sack the bio nodes. But this will help you guys get out to those 70% goal is kind of what we're looking for on these new raids. Again, I'm going to put Dorky Dad's video in the description below. Make sure to check that one out. Very informative information as far as how to plan for that 70%. And what you guys can kind of do as an alliance together to kind of maximize your energy. If you guys did enjoy this video, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, have a wonderful rest of the day.